So I'm Natalie, and just for a little bit of context on my background in visual arts, all throughout my childhood, I really enjoyed drawing. It was something that I would always do to pass the time. I'd draw video game and movie characters because that's what interested me at the time. But as I grew older, I tended to focus on the human body and the human face as my primary subject of focus. And so that's what I spent my days drawing. And around 10th grade in high school, I picked up painting as a hobby as well, which was, I guess, an extension of drawing. So from that, a year later, I enrolled in an IB art class, or IB visual arts to be exact. And up until that point, most of the artwork that I created was purely aesthetic. It was made out of just pure appreciation of beauty or just how things looked. I would draw things just to make them look cool or beautiful. But in this IB art class, a lot of that started to change because my art teacher and the nature of the course really forced me to consider the ways in which I make art and what I can actually do with art and communicate with it. So my art teacher, he really encouraged me to incorporate meaningful themes into my art, but at the time I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with that. So studying art in class, I kind of always gravitated towards Renaissance art. There was something, I think, inherently inspiring about the Renaissance, especially since figures like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, they were both simultaneously artists and engineers, which I think well complemented some of my other interests that were happening outside of art, which were primarily in computer science. But I think ultimately what inspired me about the Renaissance was this general philosophy of humanism that drove a lot of the art and just the general paradigm of the era, how it represented this change in human thought that took authority from the divine and brought it back into mankind. And in Renaissance art, you can see the human body, the human mind, and achievement celebrated in the works of Michelangelo and other artists. So reading about Renaissance art, looking at it, that was something that definitely inspired me. And I always knew that I liked drawing the human figure, but now I had a reason to kind of support why I liked drawing the human figure. And it was just out of pure appreciation of the human mind and body. But outside of art, like I said, I was also pursuing interests in science, technology, and engineering. So as I read on topics about artificial intelligence, Mars colonization, or biotechnology, I began to ask a lot of questions on how these future technologies will shape our human experience in the years to come. And I think that was where I found the synthesis of what I wanted my art to be about. So I wanted my art to take the Italian Renaissance humanism, but bring it to the context of the 21st century, and have it be about the ways in which we'll interact with the technologies we build in the future, and how it impacts our experience. And in a way, it will be celebratory of all that we've accomplished, now and in the future. So in doing so, I found a lot of parallels between Renaissance art and some ideas that we're looking at today. Like, for instance, Michelangelo, one thing that he heavily emphasized was this idea that God created man in his own image, and from that, man gained so much beauty and power. But what we're looking at now is the idea of man creating a machine in his own image with artificial intelligence. That was a topic that I really like to look at, so that served as a basis for several of my paintings. And another thing, apart from just celebrating the human mind and what we're able to accomplish, and also just presenting the viewer with these questions of what technology is going to be like for humans in the future, I think Renaissance art also helps to inspire audiences. A lot of Renaissance art did try to take philosophical truths from Greek and Roman ideology and incorporate it into a painting to sell an idea. So a lot of my art now deals with concepts of space exploration and what it would be like to live in space, and kind of just drawing together these ideas of human beauty, technological elegance, and just this pure wonder of the concept to kind of give the viewer something to visualize about the future. So ultimately, I think that art is an important avenue to explore a lot of these ideas and questions that we have on the ways in which we'll interact with technology in the future. Because ultimately, we're building this technology to improve the lives of humans and impact it. So we should definitely be looking at it from a humanistic perspective. And I think that being said, art has been really important to me throughout this whole process of learning about technology, because I can always go back to the humanistic aspect and ask myself, how is this going to impact us in the future? So thank you. And please come talk to me about any of these topics, or you can probably come find me painting in the makerspace.